The newly minted Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, expected to lob a shattering blow at federal bureaucracy and redundancies. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy both tapped as co-leaders. Listen to this.
Over $500 billion that's spent every year right now was not even authorized by Congress in the first place. They can't even tell you where it goes. We've talked a big game for 40 years about cutting the federal government, about reducing the scope of the federal government. Politicians haven't been able to do it. And so Elon and I, we're not politicians. We're businessmen. We're coming at it from the outside.
Mr. Wonderful. Kevin O'Leary is the chairman of O'Leary Ventures, and he joins us now. So, Kevin, back in 2010, the Simpson-Bowles Commission proved that it's not hard to find waste, fraud, and abuse in places to cut spending. What's hard is getting Congress to go through with it. Is that going to be any different this time around?
Yes, it will be different. What Bowles didn't have at that time was the megaphone Elon Musk has. You got to remember, politicians have to raise money. These days, they do it using social media. Now, what Elon has, that people keep forgetting, because they say, well, he doesn't have a legislative mandate here. And I say, oh, he's got better than that. He's got X. So what happens is you're in some state somewhere and you own a project to nothing and you're spending $2 billion. He just will shame you out. He'll start naming to all of your voters exactly what you've done wrong and what you're not doing to fix it. And I love the...
Considering the objectively anti-science slant that the megaphone carriers have taken alongside Robert F. Kennedy Jr., they're not going to go after old-ass, like, corrupt projects within the public-private partnership that exists. And there are many such examples of this. I am, after all, living in California, which is one of the #1 states where this happens with regular frequency. They are instead going to complain about scientists spending money on silly shit that turns out not to be silly at all.
The concept of just squeezing heads to stop waste, because all he has to do is turn on the machine. Now, it's going to be very contentious. I've said this multiple times about this mandate. The power he has is not to be underestimated, because if you can get to the voter of that governor or that senator that's wasting money in his eyes, and he can make a good case on X, you're going to cause a lot of damage in that constituency. And I love this idea because it's a negotiation. That's what it is. If you don't fix this, I'm going to call you out.
Yeah, the $44 billion he spent on X might seem like a bargain in the long run if he gets to leverage it like that. Here's a breakdown of federal spending, just so that folks at home know where their tax dollars are going. Health care, 25%, Social Security, 20 to 25%, defense, 13 to 15%, safety net programs, 10%, interest on the national debt, 8 to 10%. The way it breaks down is 61% of spending is mandatory, 13% is on debt service, 26% is discretionary, which really will be the target of DOGE. And that is a small piece of the pie to try to wring $2 trillion out of, Kevin.
I don't know. I think healthcare could be another place of savings. We haven't really used any technology there yet. We haven't really digitized medical records. We really haven't brought a mandate of AI into that. I think we could save a lot.
Oh my God. We have to bring a mandate into, an AI mandate into healthcare. Oh my God. We are so cooked. Oh dude, it's so Jover. The American project is so done, bro. We should cut some of that Medicare spending, dude. That's a good area of improvement. And demon.
A lot of money. The U.S. has one of the worst IRR returns on healthcare spending when you can compare it to some of the European countries like Switzerland or England or France. They do a much better job, but they share the...
He's right. I wonder why. Bro, that's crazy. Was shit this crazy back in 2016? No. Because in 2016, Donald Trump didn't even know he was going to fucking become president. So the chaos of his transition was somewhat beneficial. This time he's been in that position. He knows what to do. He knows what not to do. It's so frustrating that Republicans routinely point to the same exact problems that we address and we point to on this broadcast, and then their advocacy is to cripple it further.
The records on a much more ubiquitous basis that we do. We're always concerned about, privacy, but I think we could fix that too. But I like looking at everything. I don't see any reason why these two can't just release the hounds and go nuts. Everybody's interested to find out what they're going to see, and I'd like to hear it myself, because maybe it's a means test on Social Security. We have to fix this because the deficit's getting a little big right now, and the bond market's starting to get a little uneasy in the 10-year. I worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that Social Security is something that might need to be looked at, but Simpson-Bowles said, let's look at that and Republicans in Congress said, nope, not going to touch that. So Elon Musk is having no end of fun with all of this. America, his PAC, produced this tweet saying, quote, the Pentagon just failed its 7th audit in a row. The nation's largest government agency is unable to fully account for its budget of over $824 billion. They don't even know where billions of taxpayers' money is going. Efficiency is coming, to which Musk retweeted with a comment, sounds like a job for Doge. I mean, he really looks like he's looking forward to getting into the numbers here.
I rest my case, Your Honor. Here he goes. He's just going to keep on these guys, hitting him every day to a billion people that are willing to listen, and the head squeezing begins. I love head squeezing. This is fantastic. They're going to think he's going to go away. No, he won't. He'll just keep going and going and going and going, and no one's going to stop him. He owns the network. We've never had anything quite like this, and I absolutely love it. This is terrific.
All right. Well, we'll see if they can wring that money out of the federal budget. It'll be something to watch. Kevin, great to catch up with you. Thank you, sir.
Well, you won't believe this. MSNBC Morning Joe co-host and vicious Donald Trump critics revealed this morning that they met with President-elect Trump at Mar-a-Lago on Friday morning. They did this after conceding that voters overwhelmingly had made their choice.
We were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
So why wouldn't you meet with Donald Trump? I'm thinking really hard. Well, maybe here's why. These are your own words.
The retweeting of neo-Nazi videos, Charlottesville. I mean, I could go on and on. What he said about majority black countries. That is tearing more at the fabric of America than attacks on the Twin Towers did. We rebuilt from that. We became stronger because of that. But this seems to me a far graver threat to the idea of America. If Republicans continue this line of thinking, if they continue their support for Donald Trump, they needn't fool themselves. A second Trump administration would destroy the Department of Justice, would destroy the FBI. This is not a reach. I could go back and talk about.
Remember what I told you? When liberals capitulate the right-wing framing, or just like capitulate the right-wingers in general, all Republicans have to do is go, look at how hypocritical these idiots are. And they're right. They are right. You cannot consistently say Donald Trump is a fascist and then turn around and be like, and we're friends with that fascist again. You either A, don't believe he was a fascist at all and just lied to your audience, which is what the argument Republicans make. Or B, the argument I make, you actually think that he is a threat to American democracy. You just don't want him to be a threat to you. You don't have a problem with the fascism.
Nazi Germany, and I do it without any concerns whatsoever. And if people can't start drawing the parallels, well, you're just stupid, or you have your head in the sand, or you're one of them. When you look at a Republican nominee, a potential Republican nominee that's talking about terminating the Constitution, he said, terminate the Constitution, arrest political opponents using the Justice Department, assassinate generals that weren't sufficiently politically loyal to him, saying that he was going to take the FCC and bring it in to the White House, and he would decide what networks were on and what networks were not on.
Lisa, I unfortunately saw that last one in real time. He literally said Donald Trump would assassinate generals and use SEAL Team 6. And now you're going to go meet with him? Sorry, you're both phonies.
Haley, I can't get over this story, right? I don't think any of us can. It's like, how does this call go, right? Like, oh, hey, Don. Okay, so I'm sorry I called you a Nazi for years and like Hitler. But you want to grab coffee, maybe lunch, you know, like
at your house.
Yeah. Like how does it? And it's like funny because it's so ridiculous and it's so shameless and it's so debasing and so disgusting on their part. But they also created this environment where Donald Trump almost got killed.
Yeah.
Right. And even back in October, Mika Brzezinski said that the Madison Square Garden was a white nationalist, Nazi type rally. And so they're the ones that created that environment. And so it is good to see that MSNBC's ratings are down, and that's why they're doing this. Hopefully they can eat some humble pie, maybe do some self-reflection, and realize that they have led to a lot of the division in this country and an environment that potentially got Donald Trump killed.
You know, Mika Brzezinski went on The View and basically took over the show. It was like the Mika Brzezinski show that day. Well, now Sunny Hostin is very angry. Watch.
Uh-oh. I think that we have to be very clear-eyed when we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring.
Yo, I think Sunny is actively getting radicalized. I'm not even kidding. Like, every time I see a clip, she's just like surrounded by some of the most annoying assholes and is like consistently a voice for reason on the panel. It's not even a joke. Every time I hear The View, it's like annoying, nonsensical centrist bullshit, annoying, nonsensical right-wing bullshit, vague generalizations, aesthetically posturing towards progress, crying, chirping, old ladies, whatever. And then Sunny will just like pop the off and be like, you know, we must not rely on the magnanimous nature of capital owners because they will never give us a crumb of power that they hold for themselves, you know? Revolution now, revolution tomorrow. You have nothing to lose but your chains. I'm like, where did this come from? Why are you saying these things? It's crazy.
To be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists.
I mean, here, she just said maybe Mika's not a journalist. You think?
Well, I mean, make MSNBC great again.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Look, the ratings are no joke.
Yeah.
And networks can think of it as being cyclical. So this cycle started last Wednesday morning after the election, and they're feeling it now. But I just don't understand where they are going to go forward and not admit that they lied. Because if they really thought he was a fascist, a Nazi, and he was getting at Trump supporters with those comments about MSNBC or MSG, the Madison Square Garden.
No, I'm not gonna lie. It's just like, it's worse. I think they just don't care. I think they don't care about Trump's fascism. That's it. Like, I think that they genuinely want to be insulated from the harms that Trump's fascism will inevitably cause American society. They know where society's going and they want in on it. They want in on the action. They don't want to be harmed in the process. That's what I think, truly, 100%. Trump loves this shit, by the way. He will 100% demonstrate humility and grace, false humility and false grace. His entire life has been desperately seeking out the approval of dipshits like this. They were friends with Donald Trump. They were originally friends. Donald Trump has said horrible things about them. Horrible things about Mika Brzezinski. Horrible things about Joe Scarborough. After these assholes were so friendly with him. I'm telling you right now. Notice how they're not talking about how this makes Trump a hypocrite? No, first of all, Trump is God. He can't be hypocritical. And number two, the easiest answer to that is, what do you mean? He's the president. He's going to unite the country. And this is him uniting the country. Trump says media is vital to making America great again, vows to work with a fair, free, and open press. Oh my God. Yeah. What the f is this? Since rabbits cannot bark or meow, they may nip to communicate. This communication may be telling you to put them down or even pet them more. It's a way to get your attention, and it usually works. They may nudge or dig at you first, and if that does not get the desired effect, the nip is next. Thanks, extra fruit jam. No glaze, but the level of pushback you receive for telling the truth is shocking to me, considering how few there are fighting for the left perspective to have space to be heard. I would have lost my mind had it not been for you and few others on this platform. The reality is too brutal to face and remain unscathed, and I hate that I have to stand back and watch it unfold. I mean, you don't have to stand back. That's why I say organize. As everyone knows, I have thousands of criticisms of Trump, but at the Young Turks, we also give credit where credit is due, and have done that from day one. There's one thing Trump is excellent at, letting bygones be bygones. He has done that from Morning Joe to Lindsey Graham. By the way, the same Democrats who would get mad at us for saying Trump's criminal justice reform bill was pretty good, and he never said bloodbath in a physical sense, and he was heroic after the shooting, etc., are the ones scurrying to get meetings with him and kiss his ring now. Shaky Gurga. There is no reason to hand it to Donald Trump in this instance. He's just literally flexing his power. He's getting people to kiss the ring. People that he once was friends with. Trump does not let bygones be bygones. He's just always wanted to get the favor of these liberal elites. That's where a lot of his resentment against the bicoastal elites come from. It's repackaged in a way that is more appropriate for like the average American to care about. But that's where his like anger and resentment comes from. That like liberal elites have always thought of him of too crass, too rude. They never really welcomed him into the old money circles that he wanted to be in.
Garden crowd. calling supporters Nazis and so on and so forth. Look, they have to admit they lied before they can go forth. Like, I'll never believe another word that they say. And by the way, that's more MSNBC, those clips we showed, than I've seen in years. I mean, that was a lot of material. I don't, you know, I try not to have that much of it in my system. I think I might be allergic to it.
That's good for your mental health, so that's probably a wise decision.
I'm sure they're nice people, but they lied.
John, you know, the fact that Trump took this meeting, Brooke Singman at Fox News Digital reached out, got some comments from him, and I found them to be fascinating. So for someone who's a fascist and all of these things, he said, I'm not looking for retribution, grandstanding, or to destroy people who treated me unfairly. He thinks it's vital to have a free, fair, and open media, and he has an obligation to talk to those, even those who mistreated him badly.